I'm texting a friend who just sent me a funny video. Ha 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 ha. But I certainly do not look like I mean it, do I? But my friend doesn't know, because all she can perceive are these few letters that I sent her. Well, what's the difference, you may ask? The only thing I want to convey is the ha 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 ha, right? Wrong. The truth is, our brains perceive much more than just mere words in a conversation. Nonverbal communication is equally as important, and here's why. Gestures, facial expressions, the tone, pitch, and volume of voice are all perceived by the brain unconsciously, meaning that we are not aware that we are perceiving these details. And we often find credibility in a person when the content he or she is speaking matches with the body language, which gives us clue to identifying the true meaning and intention behind the speaker. This is something that words often cannot do, which was clearly mismatched in the example in the beginning. While typing a humorous ha 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 ha, my face certainly did not seem that way. If my friend were there, or if anyone were there to see my expressions and what I texted, they would have known it was far from the truth. Emotions are also conveyed through nonverbal communication. Whether we smile, shrug, or wave, intentionally or not, we will convey happiness, anger, sadness, or excitement to another person. A first impression is formed within the first 7 seconds of meeting another person. Even before verbal communication begins, we have already formed the initial image of another person. Consider for a moment, when was the last time someone made a memorable impression on you? Was it positive or negative? Now consider further. Raise your hand if you think such impressions are difficult to change. First impressions do make a huge impact, so maybe it is important to consider how to make successful ones. Here's an example. What if a person your height walked up to you with a friendly smile and stopped at 2 meters of distance without intruding your personal space and said in a calm, slow voice, "You look nice today." You'd feel great, right? Because that was clearly a compliment. The facial expression, spatial proximity, and tone of voice matches with the verbal content, "You look nice today," so the information is perceived as completely authentic. What if another person came up to you? Imagine this person being 10 or even 20 centimeters taller than you, wearing all black with a backpack swung across the shoulder. The person walks up to a distance where the tips of your shoes almost touch, and with a grimace says in a loud voice, "You look nice today." Would you feel the same way as you did with the first person? Clearly not. The body movement, physical appearance, and volume of voice is contradictory to the verbal content, "You look nice today." So the information is perceived as dishonest and what we often call mocking. Fun fact, did you know that humans are inclined to mirror those who they are speaking to in order to establish a closer relationship? This is because humans tend to adapt to their environments, so they adjust the tone, pitch, and volume of voice when talking to different people. There are 43 muscles on a person's face, which is able to make up to 10,000 expressions. Think about it. Just the facial expression aspect of nonverbal communication. Just the number of expressions we are capable of making can tell so much about us. Here's another example. It's the first day after a summer holiday, and you have just returned from a trip to the beach to ski or to see the most exotic birds in the world, and you can't wait to share. You're at school or at work, and you explode with excitement retelling your trip. You turn towards the partner to your right, and he or she is sitting at the edge of his or her seat, with widened pupils staring right back at you, and breaks into bright laughter whenever it comes to funny parts. Then you turn towards the partner facing you. He or she is leaning all the way back on his or her seat, with arms crossed across the chest, and with drooping eyelids looked downwards at the table. How would you react? If you've never met these people, you'd likely form a good first impression on the first person, and a not so good one on the second, right? These seemingly subtle facial expression and body posture are actually key to developing emotional attachment with another individual. It is typically thought that the left side of the brain is dedicated to verbal processing, while the right side is responsible for nonverbal, though areas can interact from across. For verbal communication, the Wernicke's area decodes, tries to understand, and breaks down speech, while the Broca's area assembles speech for output. For nonverbal communication, areas such as the extrastriate body area for body posture, the temporal lobes, ventral occipital, and fusiform gyrus for perceiving emotions. And here comes a difficult word, the subcortical pulvinar superior colliculus amygdala striatal circuit for perceiving emotions. From this direct distribution, we can see that the left side is verbal and the right side is nonverbal, and this is approximately equal. So they are approximately equally important to communication. Nonverbal communication helps us understand the true meaning and intention behind the content of a message, as well as forming first impressions that we are unaware about. Next time, when you listen to a teacher during class, chat with your best friend, or meet a stranger on the streets, try to recognize their ways of nonverbal communication, and try to ask yourself, what if something was done differently? What if the speaker wore different clothes, stood in a different way, talked faster or slower, made eye contact or not? Thank you.